Welcome to The Quiet Part Out Loud, a podcast all about leadership, but the real elements of leadership, the things people are thinking in their head and rarely say out loud. I'm Nuvyn.
And I'm Alex. We started this podcast because we both had experiences in leadership where we were thinking, am I just crazy or are we all just pretending?
Today's episode features Manjit Minhas, an entrepreneur, beer baroness, corporate board member, nonprofit leader, community activist extraordinaire, and we are excited to get behind the LinkedIn profile to find out what inspires her every day.
So here's our conversation with Manjit. So welcome Manjit Minhas to The Quiet Part Out Loud, our very first episode. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
In this podcast, we're seeking to explore different dynamics of leadership, of different principles, things you've learned along the way. But we always like to kick it off with a fun question. But if your leadership journey were a movie, what would it be called? What kind of movie would it be?
Well, I hope it'd be a rom-com because, those are the most fun. I'm not a thriller or
it's not a horror movie. It's an action movie
kind of girl. I will say, not one of those things. I think it would be, it'd be a mix of a lot of things, but I think that it would be like an Eat, Pray, Love kind of story. And the fact that there's a lot of different components that have made up my life, my leadership journey, my public, private, my company, all the hats that I wear. And so I think that it would be a lot in a short amount of time, because sometimes I feel like I'm 70, but I'm only 44. And so I think that it would be like that we all have different parts of us and things that we do, but most of the world only sees one. And I think that would be it, but I don't know. I'll think about it.
I like that. It's an interesting moment of reflection, right? When you're thinking about how, if someone were writing the story of my life, what would it look like to the outside world? And what would be the message that I would want to put forward?
Yeah, so I will fully upfront say I don't believe in legacy, because I truly believe that all of us, 99.9% of us will get forgotten in a generation, and that's okay. And I don't do things in my life to think about what will I be remembered for, what will be left when I leave. I am all about living in the moment and what is for tomorrow while I am still here, and who am I helping along the way, and what experiences am I giving myself along the way, because I truly believe either you expand or shrink your world based on your courage, and you do that in the moment. And so I don't, a lot of people are like, why you ask me and my brother all the time, why don't we hear names on things? And I said, that's not what actually means anything to me. And so I don't think about actually my legacy and or what people will remember me for. I'll be gone and I don't really care.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Was that a mindset that you brought to your professional or personal life, or was it something that you developed along the way?
So I think starting young, so my brother and I started 26 years ago, almost now I was 19. And I think starting young, you're naive to the world a bit, and you are truly beating to the drum to the beat of your own drum. And so you start developing some things that are around you, like my family and what my parents believe, and some of the people that you, including mentors that you cross paths with. But I will say that sometimes when you're younger, you're moldable much easier than when you get older. And so I kind of had this forge ahead, really don't have that quiet part. Say what you mean, get your opinions out there, because there's lots of people who aren't privileged enough to have that platform. Even when I was younger, my dad was always one. I come from an Indian family. Most Indian girls don't have the joy of being able to do what they want, be what they want, say what they want. But my dad was very different. And so I recognize that very, very young, that I am lucky. And so therefore, I better use this life that I have in a way that actually is going to serve me, and I'm going to have a very different outlook and hopefully maybe bring some people along the way.
Yeah.
You are the quiet part out loud. There is no quiet part out loud. You're just out loud. I love it.
Yeah. So on that thread, you said you started 26 years ago.
In business. Yeah.
So tell us about the plot of your movie. So what happens in your movie until this
Well,
point?
I think what happens in the movie, just like any entrepreneur or founder, is that there's lots of ups and downs. There's lots of learnings. There's some successes that defined my story a bit more than the failures, but there's lots of failures along the way too. It's just that most people don't dwell or ask or want to talk about those things. And people, it's a long story. I think it's a 3-hour movie. It's not an overnight. People think because they started seeing me on TV almost 11 years ago that suddenly, oh my God, where'd you come up from? Yeah, sure. I was like 32 then and it looked like it was overnight. But by then I was already at it for a decade and a half. So I think to the outside world, my story looks like it's been quick and stars have aligned. Definitely not. But I do have a lot of life mottos that have really helped me get there that I dig my real and proverbial heels in the ground for. And one of those has always been, since I was young and even went into engineering, so when we started the business here at U of C, when I started studying engineering, was that fear is temporary, regret is forever. So do it now and do it. You might not, you will learn something, you will meet somebody, you will fall flat on your face and discover, oh, that sucks and I'm not going to do that again. But how do you know if you don't try it? And so I think that has navigated me to a lot of unique industries and worlds that have been male dominated, but I haven't really thought of that. I have been I want to learn. I'm passionate about that. I want to do this. So I'm going to forge ahead and I might have a couple tears at the end of the day in my car by myself, but I'm still going to I'm going to go for it. And I think that has helped me build a really tough skin and a thick skin that I think everybody needs. I do think male and female especially need that. You do have to build a thick skin because it's tough out there. And whoever tells you it's not is lying. Because behind closed doors, a lot of different things are said and done than happens in the public space.
And do you think that your risk tolerance now has increased because your risks have paid off? Or do you think you were more willing to take risks?
No, absolutely not. I think not now. I think I was much more willing to take risks because there was less to sacrifice when I was younger. Now I take really calculated, small risks. It might not seem like that, but I definitely do. I think there's more on the line, money, energy, reputation, life in general kind of thing. And so I would say, unfortunately, I will say I have become a little more risk adverse for sure. And I do have to sometimes convince myself or those around me to be like, no, you can.
You can do
Try it. What's the worst? And the worst sometimes seems, pretty bad, but it's okay. But no, I think that the more risks you can take earlier in your career when you're younger, and younger doesn't have to mean in your teens or your 20s or your 30s. It can mean anytime younger. It doesn't. Because I don't think there's an age for entrepreneurship or trying something new. Somebody told me the other day that we changed careers 10 times now, and I thought, oh, it might be even more than that, but okay, it's a lot. So the idea that we're going to do something and stick to it is kind of ridiculous. And so even the young women that I mentor, I'm always telling them, say yes more, try more things, because I feel like they're told too much. Say no, protect your time, protect your energy, protect your money, protect yourself. Protect yourself from what? If you're going to say no to everything, you're just going to be at home, watching Netflix all the time. And that is not going to be a life that you can say after, hey, I met a lot of people. I tried a lot of things. I never knew what my next opportunity was going to be. But somebody somewhere 5 years ago said, I remember, and that's how a lot of things have happened in my life. Other women, to be quite honest, some men too, have pulled me into rooms and into to titles and jobs that I never would have dreamed of myself. But people see, okay, you're taking a risk. You're seeing what are the opportunities out there. You say yes. And so I think that it opens a lot of doors that you don't expect or you can't predict for yourself.
It's a fine balance between being intentional about your professional journey.
Yeah.
And open to opportunities. And I think, to your point, there's a lot of mixed messages out there, like where do you see yourself in 5 years, or the need to plan ahead and to have everything figured out, including your own professional trajectory, that sometimes then pigeonholes you internally to opportunities that you otherwise perhaps wouldn't be open to because you're so focused on a certain path.
And because nobody can know everything that is out there available for them. Nobody can know all of the career paths, like volunteer opportunities, board opportunities, you can't know all of that for yourself. Yes, I believe in goal setting for sure, but understanding that goal setting should be written in pencil. Like, it's got to change, and it will change if you're doing it right.
I love that. Goal setting should be written in pencil. That's a great one. What would you say the last time something happened to you that was serendipitous or that you hadn't planned, that you were kind of surprised by? And
oh my God, all the time. I would say, like,
yesterday
being asked, big thing would be being asked to be on the board of Enbridge. I never would have dreamt, and people find that hard to believe, especially women. But I think that I never would have dreamt I would have been on the board of the biggest pipeline company in the world, blue chip company, and surrounded by people that I'm still pinching myself to be like, oh, I get to have a seat at this table with these cool Canadians and Americans who've done amazing things that I've read in the papers all my life about.
Someone like yourself that lives a very public life in the sense that, you have the show, you're doing all of these amazing ventures and endeavors, whether that is like women in sports, volunteer opportunities, board opportunities. How do you balance other people's expectations of yourself in terms of and your own sense of values and how you want to live your life? Is there a disconnect there, or have you had to navigate that?
So first and foremost, my public facing life is only what I want it to be and what I want shown. There's purposefully and consciously nothing shown about my family, my kids. Nobody, unless you are very close to me, will know who they are, what they do, even their names, for goodness sakes. And so that is, so I think that people need to always remember what you see on any platform or social media or media in general is what the other person wants you to see. And so not only for myself, but for everybody. And so there is a managing of that, absolutely. But there is a way that helps to form what my goals are as far as a personal brand, what I think my next opportunities are. And to be honest, for me, a long time ago, and still is, because I have 2 young girls. I have 6 nieces and 1 nephew, but I'm a little more focused on the girls, I will admit, is that I believe that you can be what you see. And I didn't have that growing up. I didn't have people like on Dragon's Den. There was nobody that looked like me. One of the reasons why I even auditioned in a variety of things when they asked me to. And for a lot of the other things that I do is because I want to let other people know that you can have a different life path and you can do a lot of things and not just be one in one box or have one title. And so everything that I do has to absolutely line with my values. It has to either teach me something, I have to be able to give back, but there has to be both. It has to be give and take. Otherwise, I know it won't last and I will lose interest and I won't, that seat, wherever that seat might be, I should be giving and allowing somebody else to have that. So I think that a lot of people think that, oh, well, you're just giving all the time. Oh, no. That's a big misconception. I'm giving, but I'm also taking for sure. And I think that's when the best relationship with anyone, any organization, any partnership happens, when there is that back and forth. And when you're honest about that, but also clear as to, okay, where is that line And that's not easy. Where do you blur the lines? But then also, when is it time to like, okay, move on? And that's not easy either, because it gets comfortable and you want to, you like the people and like it. But I think that a smart person knows, okay, my time is up. I got to move on to try something harder, to try something different, to try something that is uncomfortable. And it's not easy, but I think those are some of the coolest experiences that I have had and continue to have.
And so in those pivots, or in those moments where you've realized, you know what, I need to try something different. I need to expand my horizons. I need to make myself uncomfortable. Are you reflective in that? Is that, do you take stock of, okay, this is what's going on in my life and I need to make a change? Or what's the thought process that helps you decide when is the right time to make a change? Yeah, it's never, unfortunately, that scientific. I love spreadsheets, no doubt, and I make a lot of them for almost every decision in my life. It helps me organize my thoughts. And maybe that's my engineering background. My husband and most people around me don't like it. My brother does, which is great. Are you like decision matrix? Yeah, I am. Yeah. I am. Because I do need to see it on paper. I need to write it out. I do need it out because I think otherwise in your mind, it just kind of, it's hard to disseminate and hard to sort out. Because often a decision has to be made and sometimes it's easier not to make a decision or let others do it for you. And so I'm a big like, no, I'm going to do it myself. It might not be the right decision. That's okay. I'll figure that out as I go. But that decision tree is really important. Like my life is scheduled in hour chunks. It's what gives me comfort. It is the most effective. It is how I get productivity. It is how everybody around me knows where and what is going on. And I've experimented with it, and I tell people experiment with it. It can be 2 hours. It can be half an hour. Everybody's different. For me, it's 60 minutes. After that, I start waning and I'm looking for what's next. But also it just is the way I get the most out of myself and enjoy most things I do. And so like it's a conscious decision for sure when I'm deciding what's next. I thrive on those schedules too, like on knowing what my day looks like and everything is scheduled in there. Probably can't control many things. Yes. Being able to control your schedule or that sense of here's what I'm going to anticipate that the day will hold. And the consistency, right? Like talking about building in habits. I was reading something that it said it takes 3 months for something to become a habit. So if you're working out, if you're trying to kind of improve mental clarity, if you are embarking upon a new initiative, oftentimes we're looking for that like quick result. And it takes 3 months for something that you're doing to be ingrained as a habit. I believe it. And I think that we live in a world right now where you're looking for instant gratification. So yeah, having that patience and that time sometimes. I also try to make it like as few decisions as I can. So I like the consistency and the monotony. Like I eat the same things all the time. I go to a lot of restaurants around the world, but I'm not a big foodie. I'm like, give me the basics kind of thing. Because I feel like the only thing I spend more than a hot minute on is what am I wearing? Because it's like, I like clothes and fashion. But other than that, I really try to do like even like where I'm driving, the routes, who's my driver in every city. Like I like the same things because I don't like, as I think many CEOs would tell you, to have a bunch of change in decision making because we make so much already. And I like to make the big decisions in the morning because I feel like there is a bit more clarity in the morning before you're always putting out fires. That is kind of the job always. And so I feel like it's a bit calmer always. So I try to make, if I have big things that I need to deal with, always in the morning. How do you prioritize those things in your life when maybe 2 or 3 things come up at once? Yeah. So I think just like anything, great teams and help. Everybody thinks that everybody does it on their own. Mm-hmm. Absolutely not. I think
the best thing one of my mentors told me, I'm a true believer in mentorship. If you haven't figured that out, personal and professional, and they need to change. I truly believe. Like, I think that you're at different ages and stages in your life, in your career, that you have to have different people around you that you can bounce ideas off of, have them to be near to listen to you, and sometimes a push in the right direction, but they should change as your needs change. So I have a lot of help. I am not shy, I will say, for asking for help from family, friends. Like I said, I had 2 girls, people at school, and then at the company to be like, I always have been one to say, listen, I'm leading, sure, but I'm not the one doing it all. It takes a team. I discovered a long time ago, I'm only one person. I don't have all the ideas. I don't have all the time. And so it's a team. And so I think that everybody has to realize that about any person. Nobody does it on their own by any means. And so when there are things that are coming up, there is just like anything, a decision priority trait to be like, okay, where does it trump as far as can it wait an hour? Is there somebody else that can make the decision? Okay, give me all the facts and I can try to do it. But it is not always predictable, though. And I think right now everything is coming at everybody at the same time. And it's about taking a deep breath and saying, okay, what can I control? Not a whole hell of a lot. So what facts do I have right now? And let's make small decisions, not some big ones, because we can't shift all right and all left right away. So let's have a little bit of patience. And usually that is the answer.
There was a story that you recounted, I think at one of multiple events, and it really stuck with me. It was the uncertainty of how things came about. And I think you were like in Texas meeting with someone and you wrote a deal, or he wrote a deal on like a napkin.
Yeah. It's a bit of a long story, but the crux of it is that it was the beginning. It was, I had a business plan, an idea, a bit of money, 10 grand. And now I needed a supplier, because I think everybody thinks now when they start a company, they have to do every part of it. We did not think that. We were like, we're a sales, marketing, and branding company. We did not ever dream of being a manufacturer. And so I went to this conference and I had a pitch in mind as to answering the basics. I'd read a great book on the way down. I'm a big reader, still am, about what a good sales pitch is. And because I do believe that then and now that everybody has to be a good salesperson. It doesn't matter what your job title is. We are always selling. You're either selling your own personal brand, yourself for a job, your product, you're like, whatever. I know people don't like to hear that because it sounds dirty in their minds, but it's not. It's not. Like, we're all always selling. And so why not do it with some intention? Why not do it with some talent, some skills, some purpose, and some practice? And so I had a pitch answering the basic questions, which I still think is true to this day, from somebody who hears thousands of pitches, answering who, what, where, when, why, and the how. Like, it sounds really basic, but it is the basis of a really good pitch always. And so I had that down. I was looking for suppliers. It didn't happen the first day of the 3 days. The second day, I was talking to somebody at the table beside me, giving my pitch. He wasn't really listening, but my gut was telling me somebody important. And I will say, I think women are better at that, at having gut instincts. Maybe it's because many of us are moms and or like been through some situations in life where, we listened to our gut and it was the right thing. And so I am a believer in listening to your gut. You don't always have to give it hard science facts as to why, but I did feel like he was somebody important. All I knew was his name on his name tag. There was no smartphones back then. I couldn't like Google who he was. I had a phone, no doubt.
Right.
But so I called my brother who was here in Calgary at the UFC and I said, find out who this guy is. And took about half an hour. He got back to me and he said, like, he owns the largest owned family distillery, makes all the product, ships to Canada. Like, if it was on paper, this would be the perfect supplier. And so I followed him around the rest of the day, trying to get those 15 minutes. I guess my persistence paid off by the end of the day, where he asked me, is everything okay? And I was like, yes.
Why are you following me?
Let me, I left him twice. He went to the washroom. I didn't follow him there. And it was me saying, I need 15 minutes of your undivided attention, because I gave you a pitch you probably don't remember, which is fantastic. But let's kind of start from scratch. And he was nice enough to say, okay, great. I'll let you buy me a drink. Little did he know I was only 19 in Texas. But regardless, I think it was when I was like, okay, this is my moment now. And so I gave him my pitch. And I talked without breathing. It wasn't really a conversation. And he said yes to me. And he said yes, he told me, because he didn't really understand much of what I said. He said I talked too fast. He said I had a Canadian accent. and he said that he just didn't understand what I was saying. But he did understand passion. And I think that for most people, I tell them that all the time when they're pitching ideas to anybody, is that you have a good pitch is a transfer of passion. The other person doesn't have to be passionate about it, but it is that they understand that you are passionate. And if they're going to back you with money, time, in this case, be my supplier, they have to understand that you care about what you are about to do, and they can be on that journey with you. The other person, even in my investments in the den, I don't need to be 110% or even 100% in with them and care about the widget that they're selling as much as them, but I need to know that they are. So that transfer of passion to me, that I feel what they are feeling. And so he said he felt that and he wanted to be a part of that, whatever way it could be. And so it was interesting because I walked away knowing, okay, I don't have much money. And I came running back saying, oh my gosh, I have to negotiate some payment terms. Like, how am I going to pay you for all the stuff? I got like $6,000 left, right? And so I told him, could you produce the product, ship the product, and me sell the product, and then I pay you? And he's like, no, that's not the way things work in this industry. I was like, I know, but I'm being upfront with you that I can't prepay you, and I can't. And he's like, oh, interesting. And that was a unique take that he had never seen before. And so I got him to write it down because I was channeling my uncle, who was a lawyer, that said, get everything written down. Even as a kid, later bedtimes I had written down by my parents. And so I didn't have paper. Now I carry paper and pen everywhere. I didn't have that with me that day. I had a pen, but we had a napkin from the table. And he signed, wrote those payment terms and signed, dated that napkin. And the napkin was the start of my company. And it's still framed in my office here. But it was my first successful negotiation, which I'm a big, big believer in too. And it was not only the start of my company, but also the start of everything that I had believed in up until that point being manifested, but also being believed in by somebody else. There's a lot that I still take from that day that helps me move forward often, to say that you sometimes got to make your own luck.
I'm curious about being in those situations where you might be nervous or where you might, feel out of your depth, and, you're a young woman, you're a woman of color, and you're probably in a lot of boardrooms with people who don't look like you.
Yep.
Do you have any hacks or things that you do to kind of push through that nervous or whatever feelings come up?
Yeah, always have. And I think that I always know that I'm going to stand out in the room. Doesn't matter what room it is, for one of three reasons. I'm young, I'm a female, and I'm Indian. And so I discovered that instead of those being disadvantages, how do I make those my unfair advantages? I'm going to stand out. So you know what? Embrace it, or don't be there. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to embrace it. And so I discovered what worked for me. I told you about like the being early, comforting, a variety of things beforehand. Some of it might seem superficial, but it is something that really helps me. I'm always super prepared as far as research, not only my own stuff, but everybody else's. I am always one that believes that you put your best foot forward often by looking and feeling put together. We are all human at the end of the day. Everybody judges a book by their cover, and anybody who says they don't is lying. I think in an ideal world, we want to believe that, but that is just not the case. And so I feel like there's a lot of things that you can do yourself for your internal and external confidence, but then it's about also telling your mind and quieting that voice that is always saying, oh, you're not tall enough, you're not skinny enough, you're not smart enough, you don't have enough education, you haven't been around long enough, you don't, have the right family, you don't live in the right city, like all of those things that I think women tell themselves way more than men do, but we're always doubting ourselves. So over years, I've gotten better at quieting that voice and saying, no, I have something to give. I know this, and this. I don't know, sure, some things. And that's why there's other people around the room, and everybody here has a different specialty. And I think that I've discovered over time that often what I am thinking that might seem like a dumb question, a lot of other people are thinking too. It's just that who has the courage to actually speak up? And over time, as soon as you get kind of over that quote embarrassment part of it, it's really not embarrassing though, but you do gain your voice. And but it comes with preparation too. I will say, even in board meetings, I write my questions out ahead of time. I read, I reread, I think, and I talk to other members in the hallways, and then in the meetings too. Always, I'm taking notes. I'm okay. Where did that person come from? But your undivided attention has to be there. I think a lot of people try to do many things at once. It's really hard. My phone is not on. I'm not checking. You have to be where you are and you have to be focused. You can do a lot of things. Women, we can all do a lot of things, but we can't do everything at once. So you do have to focus in what you are doing in the moment. And that took me some time to figure out, I will say, because we all want to do it all. We all want to do it all.
It's hard to stay present also in this culture, right?
Yes.
Where we do have our phones, we have our laptops, we're expected to respond to an email, a text, a call, an outreach in almost an immediate fashion. And it is hard to stay present in the moment.
Right. But I will say, I believe that, is the world really going to fall apart if you respond in an hour? Really, if you're the first one to respond, does that give you a gold star? Sure. And sometimes that is me if that works out that way. But that doesn't always make me the best contributor. And so I will say that I think that we have to often get that out of our mind, that other people's expectations on us are not often realistic and not something that we should aspire to. I know many women, including myself sometimes, are people pleasers, but that doesn't necessarily help you. What you have to think about, what are you doing that is giving you the right answer, the right response, the right question, but also the right sanity sometimes too, because yes, I agree. Sure, I always have devices with me, but it doesn't mean that they always have to be on, and that the expectation by everybody is that they can reach get a hold of me
all the time, and that you're going to respond.
Yeah.
Setting boundaries is hard.
Yeah, setting boundaries is hard, but it is necessary. It's necessary at home and at the office, I think, in both places. And if you don't know what you need, how do you expect somebody else to know that? If you've always been one that has responded in 5 minutes, that you always pick up the call, everybody around you will continue to do that because you have trained them that you are the one that will do that. But if you've trained them to say that I'll respond to you within the day, I will get back to you, and you're not the one that, leaves them hanging for a week, I think that's disrespectful. But they won't expect it right away. They'll be like, she'll get to me by the end of the day. And that's okay too.
What other definitions of success have you kind of redefined in your life?
Yeah. So obviously, when you start, everybody has the metric of success that is money.
Yes.
Yeah, I won't deny that. For me, it was $1 million in the bank account. 1 million, like that was like, oh my God, like that would mean I have made it. Fine, I was 19, even when I was 20 and 21. And but then when we very quickly got close to that, once we started about 2.5 years in, because I was still at school in the same time and stuff. As we were getting close to it, I was like, okay, that's not really the definition of success anymore. And I think that is the neat thing, that once you start reaching any goal, you start figuring out, oh, well, actually I have to move the goalpost. That isn't really what I thought it was going to be. And so then I started saying other things like, I want to be an innovator. I want to be creator. I want to go up against the big guys. I want to get in beer. I want to, like, my definition of success was getting to be very different. It wasn't just money based. Sure, it was, I have to be profitable, but the metric wasn't any more what dollar amount I had in the bank account. It was other efficiencies, other metrics. I want to, for example, I had done so much research to know what the big guys on the beer side did, how many labor hours per barrel. Yes, I am a spreadsheet kind of gal.
Engineer.
As to they were putting out, and I wanted to beat that by 25%. And everybody thought I was crazy, including like my consultants and stuff. And I was like, oh, damn, no, like I can do better than real better. Like, so my definitions of success were definitely more granular then. And now I will say it is freedom. I have the freedom to make decisions with my time, with my money, with my opinion, and that I want, when nobody else kind of judging or telling me. And I will say that I get to invest in places where I want to, and that I'm happy with that. That I go to bed every night saying, I'm happy with what I did today. I'm happy with who I helped or I didn't, or what. Like I'm just happy. And I think that evolves. Sure. I'm not gonna lie, having money helps you make those decisions and have that freedom. But it's definitely not the be all end all. And yeah, at a certain point, it starts creating other problems for sure. And I think that was a decision I had to make when I got on TV, because I was not the face of the company. My brother was, as everybody remembers in Alberta. My brother was the face in all of our commercials and, in everything that we did. And then when CBC called me, I had a decision to make. I had 1 and 3-year-old girls at home, and I was not the face of the company, and or a face anywhere. I wasn't even on social media. Like I didn't even have a Facebook account. Like I knew how it was going to change my life. But I had to do it in my way and what I wanted, how I wanted it to change my life and give me different opportunities. And I think that that's always scary and the unknown, but it's definitely how I've chosen.
What do you see in other people that inspires you and gives you hope?
I would say courage to try new things, for sure. I also would say that they are willing to listen. I think too many people think that they know and have all the answers. And so they're willing to get uncomfortable and listen and ask people what might seem like the dumb questions, but ask people questions that most of us want and listen to. We don't listen, like we just talk to respond, and or we think we know everything, especially once we start, finding a bit of success or have bigger titles. And so I'm always inspired by people who are always learning, that I see that are taking new courses, going into different rooms, meeting new friends, like doing things that they know they're not necessarily always good at. And so I'm always inspired by people who are just trying new things. Yeah.
Yeah. What's a new thing that you've tried that you've found joy in?
Oh my God, so many.
Don't say pickleball or something like that.
No, I am not athletic whatsoever. I hike and like do something because my husband kind of forces me. And I will say, but no, definitely not. I will say, it's a variety of things. It is, I take more suggestions from people on things, what to read. I am super always like, I know what's next and I have a pile. And now I've discovered when people tell me the weird things, that seems weird to me, maybe not the right, I'm going to try some, just not the business books, just not the,
Yeah.
I am reading one book about psychology right now that I would never pick up ever before, but it is fascinating. And so I find myself trying to spend, and I am spending time, even listening to some podcasts that are not all just business and oil and gas and regulated industry related, listening to things that are really out of my wheelhouse, that I otherwise have maybe thought were a bit hokey. But now I think as my girls are even growing up, trying to figure them out as people.
Yeah.
It's giving me some insight that is a bit different. And so I think that I will say I had to catch myself even while I'm reading to be like, what? That doesn't, okay, take a minute to say, okay, maybe there could be some truth and validity in that. Open your mind up to something that isn't, and that's the difference between my brain, who's very science, fact-based, numbers-based, and that other side that is not so, it's just different. And so right now, in the last couple months since the new year, I'm opening myself up to that not science, fact, numbers based reading, listening. That is uncomfortable.
Makes you uncomfortable, and that makes you learn and grow, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. Top 3 favorite books.
Oh, okay. So number one, always, since I was 15, just gave my 15-year-old to read it over Christmas. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I read it dozens and dozens of times. It is, I think everybody, especially every young person, but everybody should read it multiple times in their life. For a lot of reasons, but it stands the test of time. The examples might not, but you get it when you read it, and I think it sticks with you. I will say now it's changing like every month or two based on what's going on. But I will say never split the difference. I'm a big believer in negotiation, persuasion, and I already talked about sales, but we have to all do it consciously, that too. Many people think that you're born with the skill. You're not. You have to learn, practice some more. And so that's a good book. It's a good book. It also taps into the psychology side of things too a little bit, which is interesting. And then, oh gosh, number 3. Oh, there's a lot of ties for number 3. You talked about habits earlier. Atomic Habits is really good. I will say, I don't know. The number 3 is a little bit of a tough one because it depends what you're looking for at a certain time. Like if you're looking to read people's life story, like Shoe Dog was really great. Like there's some surprising ones, right? And then if you're looking to understand the world and business and like if you don't know anything about finance, I tell young people and women this all the time because unfortunately we're not as financially educated always, is The Wealthy Barber. My dear friend David Chilton wrote it ages ago, and it is the basics still on how to handle money and understanding. And so I read that too, because I think that sometimes we overcomplicate a lot of things in the finance world. So I find a lot of the best are simple and go to the basics. Don't really overly complicate things. And then I like fun books too. I like people's life stories. Like, Rick Mercer's first and second book made me laugh out loud. On the beach many times. Mindy Kaling's, like their life stories and them being open about the shitty things that have happened and how they've handled it. And they have a special way with words, which I quite enjoy. So it's a bit all over the place, but it really is about people's stories that I think, and their lessons in their stories that they learn from themselves or others around them, like Napoleon Hill's book, that we learn the most from and that stay with us, that are not just entertaining.
And as we wrap, proudest moment, either in the last month, day, year, what is something that you're just like, I fucking did this and I rocked at it?
Okay, I'll fully admit I suck, and I really, and I know I suck at this, at taking a moment in celebrating the wins. I'm glad, thank you so much that you didn't ask me the question, what would you tell your 18-year-old self? I absolutely hate that question because it's so irrelevant. I'm not going backwards. What I chose every day before today was based on the facts that I had in front of me, and I made the best decision I could. So going backwards and hoping that I switched something would actually have changed everything after that, probably. And I have done that and made those decisions based on what I knew then. So I actually wouldn't change anything. And I'm a big believer also is that the rear view is smaller than the windshield because you're not going this way, you're going that way. And so I don't look back very much. I don't reflect very much because I think it's kind of purposeless and it's useless, a waste of my time. Sure, I can worry is not the right word about the future, but I don't about the past. And the downside of that is that you don't always celebrate what you did yesterday and or last week or last year or last decade.
Are you hard on yourself?
Oh, yes.
Meaning like you have high expectations of yourself?
Oh, yes. I have high expectations of myself and others around me. Very high expectations of others around me. Probably also a flaw. I've heard that too. But I think that I only have expectations of others that I have of myself. So I'm always like, oh, I can do that. Why can't you? And I think that that's not fair all the time. Sure. But it's helped me get to where I am. So I think it served me well. But yes, I am.
Does that translate in your parenting too?
Yes.
Yes. Alex and I both have kids too. And I find sometimes I'm managing them like I manage people on my team.
Yeah. I am the disciplinarian. I'm a very, strict parent. I am definitely not the fun one. That's my husband and him and I. Sure, we do not agree on a lot of that. But I think it works for us, probably because I'm away a lot. So it's easier for him to be, but his personality is different. But yeah, it definitely is the way I parent for sure. I guess we'll see how they turn out. But who was right and who was wrong. But I think I will be right. I think my husband will be wrong and be like, you did good. You did good.
You did good. You did good. On that note, you did good.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Great discussion.
It was our
Thank
pleasure.
you.